Welcome to the Blackfathom Deeps dungeon guide for both Horde and Alliance. This video will be a bit longer than usual due to the nature of this dungeon, thus Horde sections and Alliance portions will be timestamped appropriately in the description. Blackfathom Deeps is a fairly easy dungeon. Very few parts of the dungeon boast any difficulties, making it a great way to grind out a level or two, as well as get some excellent gear. The ideal level range is 20 to 26, but you can enter as early as level 15. Keep in mind that you will need to be at least level 20 to equip gear from this dungeon. I find this dungeon incredibly fun and quick, and it was actually the first dungeon I did back on Retail Vanilla. The dungeon hosts a jumping puzzle, hidden bosses, and a slew of buffs and mechanics not present in any other dungeons of this level range. I can't highly recommend any one class here, as none are really required for any mechanics. But be wary if you're a warrior tank, as nearly every type of mob here can disarm. Although warlocks are quite useful for their water breathing here. As Alliance, we will want to start out in Stormwind. In the park, we can pick up the Corruption Abroad, which just sends us to Darkshore. But, before making our way to Darkshore, we stop by Ironforge to grab Knowledge in the Deeps from Garrick Bonegrip, which will require us to collect the Lorgalis manuscript. We then continue to Darkshore to turn in the Corruption Abroad to Grishala Nightwhisper, who will then give us Researching the Corruption, which requires 8 corrupt brainstems from any of the mobs inside of Blackfathom Depths. Moving on to Darnassus, we pick up Twilight Falls from Argent Guard Manados, which requires 10 Twilight Pendants from any of the Twilight's Hammer cultists in BFD. Next to Manados, we can pick up In Search of Thaelrid from Dawnwatcher Shadeless, which requires us to find Argent Guard Thaelrid in BFD. Moving on to Horde, we can see they have one more quest than Alliance, totaling up to 6, and their objectives are quite different. We start off at Sunrock Retreat in Stone Talon Mountains. Above the city we find Tsunamen, who gives us Trouble in the Deeps, which sends us to Zormgar in Ashenvale. In Zormgar we find Janu, who will give us our next 3 quests. After turning in Trouble in the Deeps, we can pick up the Essence of Akumai, which requires us to collect 20 sapphires all throughout BFD. We can also pick up Amongst the Ruins, which requires a Fathom Core. This quest leads to another quest I'll discuss later. To acquire Janu's final quest, we will need to head to the dungeon entrance and farm out the Damp Note from the Naga Tide Priestesses. This item has a 10% drop chance, so be prepared to kill quite a few to finally get it. Upon receiving the Damp Note, we return to Janu and grab the final quest outside of the dungeon, Allegiance to the Old Gods, which requires us to kill Lorgus Jet. Upon entering the dungeon, if you're Horde, you can immediately begin collecting the crystals off the wall. Alliance can also begin harvesting the brains of any of the satyrs and nagas within the dungeon. After entering the dungeon itself and completing the jump puzzle, we encounter the first chamber with Gamura. Gamura does nothing special, but the chamber he's in hosts a variety of secrets. As Alliance, the furthest north crevice has the Lorgalis manuscript in a crate underwater. The crate has about a 2-minute spawn time, so be patient between players. In the northwest corner, we find the entrance to Lady Cerevis's cave. She is another boss that does next to nothing. Just watch out for the bit of AoE she puts out with her chain lightning. Finally, in the southwest corner, Alliance can turn in Search of Thaelrid, and both factions can pick up Blackfathom Villainy, which requires the head of Kelris. Now we can head down to the southmost cave until we encounter a pool of murlocs. Here I'd recommend line of sight pulling. The oracles heal, and it's easy to pull a large chain by accident. The boss in this room is Gilahast. Once again, he does nothing to worry about. He throws a net and attacks fast. That's it. Once dead, you can click his pearl to get a debuff that gives you 5 intellect, 5 spirit, and 15 frost damage, so I guess it's technically a buff. Leaving the chamber, we turn left and immediately go right. In this caveway, we encounter Lorgus Jet for the Horde quest Allegiance to the Old Gods. If you're Alliance, you can skip him, as he drops nothing of note. We finally enter the Twilight Cultist lair. Here Alliance can collect the Twilight Pendants for Twilight Falls. If all 5 people in your group have the quest, don't expect to be able to finish it. There's just not enough cultists. This does give you reason to run the dungeon again though. Beneath the water, Horde can complete Amongst the Ruins, which requires the collection of the Fathom Core. Upon collecting the core, Baron Aquanis will spawn. He drops the Horde-only quest-giving item, Strange Water Globe. This item starts the quest Baron Aquanis, which just requires you to return to Janu. While you're underwater, make sure you swim below the temple and kill Kiss, another boss of trivial difficulty. Just watch your air meter, this is where warlocks come in handy. Finally we can enter the temple. The mobs in here are all casters, so I use the wall to line of sight pull. Be careful as some of them mind control. Now we can face Kelrus. Although he isn't incredibly difficult, he does put everyone to sleep. Kelrus will start wailing on a random party member when this happens. Shamans with Tremor Totem excel during this fight as they can absorb the debuff. Upon Kelrus' death, the 4 braziers around Ashara's statue will become interactable. Only click one at a time. 3 of the 4 braziers spawn easy trash mobs, but the second brazier you click spawns 2 water elementals that unleash a frostbolt volley that AoEs for 200, twice. Try and focus one, and do your best to interrupt. Finally we can enter the final cavern to fight Akumai. Akumai is probably the hardest fight in this dungeon. Not because he has any mechanics, he just hits like a truck and has a metric ton of health. Upon completion, we can click on the orb to go to the beginning of the dungeon, or Alliance can speak with the dwarf that pops up to go to Darnassus. And just like that, we've completed another dungeon. Again, while you watch me hand in quests, I'd like to give an update on my giveaway. I've decided to change the prize to full access to the WoW demo. All you have to do is comment so I can give your name a number. Although I would appreciate subscribing, it's not required. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed, and as always, have a fantastic day.